Good morning, everybody. One last day of cornerback videos, and we are now on to the guys who I believe will probably go between rounds 4 and round 7. Some of them might be UDFAs, some of them might creep into the back end of day 2, but these guys kind of live around that round 4 to round 7 range, generally speaking. So, let's jump right in. We've got a lot of guys to get through today, and we're starting with Blue Kelly of the Stanford Cardinal. 22 years old, 6 feet flat, 191 pounds, 32-inch arms. Not bad. Not great speed, 4.52, but really nice 10-yard split, 1.49, good acceleration, and pretty good explosiveness, too, from his jumps, 36-inch vert and almost an 11-foot broad. So this is a guy who's right on the cusp of day 2 on some big boards. A couple actually have him firmly in day 2, but the aggregate right now has him just barely on the outside looking in at 110 overall. Over the last 2 years, he's missed a few games for the Cardinal. He's played in a total of 21 games, giving you about 93 tackles and 17 passes defensed, so decent amount of ball skills. Not a great coverage grade last year, though. So, Kelly, what I can say about him, he played a lot of games in college. He was a long-time starter for the Stanford Cardinal. He's good in man coverage. He's somebody who can shadow receivers well. He's good at press. He's good at jamming receivers at the line. And he's got the short area quickness and quick twitch athleticism to stay with the receiver throughout their route. He's really good protecting against receivers going deep. He's got good ball skills at the point of catch. He's really good at making sure he at least does something to try to make it really hard for the receiver to actually make the catch. His acceleration is top-notch, like I said. And he puts pretty good effort into run support. He's at least willing to aggressively go for tackles and run support. And he does have some good reps in zones, so maybe this guy can end up being scheme versatile. Now, that being said, I think that if you take him out of press and have him play with a cushion, he struggles. He struggles a little bit with making that break when an in-breaking route comes into play. And there's only limited evidence of him being good in zone. We don't have a ton right now. Some of his quick twitch movements are a little bit on the slow and awkward side, admittedly. I do think that he's got pretty good short area quickness, but it's not great. He does fall for double moves. He does aggressively bite on stuff, and he's going to have to get better at tackling, even though I think that he's trying out there for whatever that's worth. So he's a press man corner. I would take him in the 6th, but that's really about it. I don't think I would take him before then because he's mostly a man corner. We don't really need that. Cameron Mitchell is next up, Northwestern, 21 years old, 5'11", 191 pounds, 31 and 3/8 inch arms, 9 and 3/4 inch hands. Ran an okay 40, but a really good 10-yard split. The dude accelerates in an instant. So he's got that going for him. The big board that likes him the most is Sports Illustrated. They think he's a 4th rounder. The mock draft database has him in the late 4th, early 5th range. Quite a few big boards actually had him going undrafted, which surprised me. But aggregate says late 4th, early 5th. He's missed a couple games over the last 2 years, but he's given the Northwestern, I don't remember what they're called off the top of my head. Looking at way too many college team names lately. He's had pretty decent ball production, although only 1 interception. He's got 14 passes defensed, almost 100 tackles, including 2.5 for loss, and an okay coverage grade from PFF last year, I guess. It's not great. But going beyond just the numbers, there's clearly something to tap into here. This guy has elite acceleration. He's really good at tracking the ball in the air. He finds the ball and puts himself in position to make a play on it. His short area quickness is good in zone. He's good at breaking when the route breaks. He's good at planting and going when the route starts to break inside to make sure he can at least be in position to contest the pass. He's effective in press. He's good with jamming receivers at the line of scrimmage. He was not often targeted by opposing quarterbacks due to his coverage skills. I think they kind of learned eventually that, hey, this is not a guy we should be targeting a lot. And I believe he's an intelligent player with how he diagnoses routes and how he puts himself in position to make sure he'll be able to affect the play in some positive way. Now, even though his speed is okay, it's not great. He has a little bit of a hard time against the vertical routes. As the guy runs down the field, he's going to build separation if he's a speedster because his top end speed is just not that high. He does get a little bit grabby sometimes. A lot of these college guys get grabby, if we're being honest, though. That's not a capital offense. He bites hard on receiver fakes, another guy who I think bites a little too hard when he gets the double moves and the receivers, faking inside and going outside. And while I do think that his physical abilities, his short area quickness are good in zone coverage, I do think he could stand to trust his instincts a little bit more and be a little more assertive in those areas. Sometimes he misses out on a play he could have otherwise made because he doesn't totally trust his instincts, it seems. So I like it. I like this. He's a good fit for his own defense, I think. I think that you can coach him up a little bit and get something pretty good out of it. He doesn't have elite physical traits in all areas. He is a little bit small, a little bit unlengthy, and a little bit slow, but there is some stuff to like. I'd say 5th round is about right for me. I'd do it in the 5th. Okay, next up we have Terell Smith of the Minnesota Golden Gophers, 23 years old, just over 6 feet tall, 204 pounds, just shy of 33-inch arms, some nice long arms. We're getting off to a good start with this one. 9-inch hands, ran a 4.4 140, solid, good acceleration to 1.5 10-yard split. Not very explosive on his jumps, so there's a little bit of stuff lacking there. His 3-cone was lackluster. His 20-yard shuttle wasn't very good, so we have a pretty clear picture here. This guy, he's relatively big, he's very long, he's fast, but he doesn't have all the short area quickness and change of direction quickness and explosiveness you would like. So the big board's pretty conflicted here. CBS likes him the most. They have him in the 4th. The aggregate has him in the 5th. 2022, he played in all 13 games for Minnesota and gave you 5 passes defensed. And the year before, in 7 games, he gave you 2. So ball skills, a little bit of a work in progress, maybe. At least he didn't produce that much when he was at Minnesota. So something to work on there. And 4.5 tackles for loss, I guess, is pretty solid here. And he did make 3 interceptions over the last 2 years. That's something. But mixed bag here for sure. What I can say is that I think his speed is pretty impressive, as well as his acceleration, given the fact that he's 6 feet plus and over 200 pounds. His arm length is, again, very notable. There are a couple guys in this class who have like 34-inch arms, but only a couple. And once you remove those 2 guys, I think it's 2 guys from the pool, Terell Smith has almost the longest arms of any cornerback. He's got good footwork. He's got good discipline and consistency with his footwork when he's at the line of scrimmage. A lot of good stuff on him in man defense. He's aggressive in run support and a good tackler. You're not going to have to worry about him in that regard, I don't think. He also has played some in zone. I don't think it's his strength, but it is something he's proven he can do. He's strong enough to be really good in press, and he holds up really well against vertical routes. You try to run a vertical route on him, he can keep up. He can not get stacked on a vert. That being said, even though all those things being the case, you would expect him to make more plays on the ball. 7 passes defensed in his last 20 games it leaves you wanting a little bit. The flipping of the hips can be a little bit lackluster. So when he's like transitioning from having his facing the offense to having his back to the ball, not great. He doesn't break on the inside routes very quickly, which is a big part of zone defense. And sometimes he bites too hard on the double moves and fakes. So I like some of this stuff enough to spend the 5th round pick on him. Maybe even a 4th round pick, because I do believe there is talent here that wasn't fully tapped into. I like the combination of size, length, and speed. And I like the fact that he's a good tackler, but there is going to be some development to do. But this is the kind of guy who I think Carroll could develop. So I wouldn't hate using a 4th rounder on him. I would definitely be all over him on the 5th. And that's even with him being probably best in man. All right, one more guy for this video. It's Mekhi Blackman of the USC Trojans. 24 years old, 5'11", 178 pounds. So a little small, not super long either. 31-inch arms, 9.25-inch hands. 40 time was passable. Acceleration's decent. Jumps were okay. Just very kind of meh so far, right? Like you look at these measurables, you look at the talent that he's bringing. It's kind of okay, but not great. There's nothing that's terrible. The big boards, one big board has him in the fourth, but the aggregate has him in the fifth. There are a couple that actually have him going undrafted or getting barely drafted. 2022 was his breakout season. He played in all 14 games for USC, gave you 66 tackles, 3 interceptions, 12 passes defensed, 91.1 PFF grade. So now we're starting to see things that we like. This dude made a lot of plays on the ball, and he had a sterling PFF coverage grade. So what he's lacking in physical talent, he makes up for with his intelligence. He plays the position very smart. He's scheme diverse across zone and man. He has a good understanding of landmarks in zone, understanding of what he sees when he's facing the quarterback, looking at the quarterback, looking at the receiver, trying to understand where the play is going. He's very good at that stuff. He's good in press as well. He's able to press effectively. He hits hard when he's tackling. He's got good footwork. The ball skills are pretty off the charts. And he's got good hips when he's flipping, transitioning between facing the line and turning away from the line. Now, he is small, which makes me wonder how he's going to do in press in the NFL. Are the NFL receivers going to eat him up when he tries to press? I do think he's going to struggle with the more physical receivers at the least. He's also going to pick up a few too many flags. But again, that's something you would hope can get coached out of him. I feel like even though he puts good effort into tackling, his technique needs work. So he's already 24, so the fact that he's not a little further along there is a little bit concerning. And he's been injured a lot in college. He missed a good chunk of 2021, and I believe he missed most of 2019 to injuries. So he's a little bit of damaged goods. But you put all this stuff together. You're trying to balance this all out. I think he's a really interesting player, but he's undersized, and he gets hurt a lot. So I say 5th round pick. I'm going to split the difference here. 5th round pick. All right, more videos coming later today. See you guys soon.